Well, good evening, Broncos fans. It's Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Of course, it's the Denver Bronco Roundup. I'm Keith Brugman. We're going to get rolling here. We'll get everyone kind of queued up and in the show. Get your comments in here, but appreciate you joining me this evening. And I'm not alone. I'll bring in my friends, your co-hosts, your friends, Broncos country. We got Jody. We got Albert. Welcome, Jody Moncrief, Albert Knoppers. How we doing, sirs?
Welcome. Doing good.
Welcome, everybody. It's good to be home again.
Yeah, Albert, long time on the road. He gets to head back home, gets to, get in his digs, call his house his home, walk in his own front door, pull up in his own driveway. Must be nice, Albert. Welcome back, buddy.
It's very good to be back in your own personal environment, and that's always a good feeling.
Absolutely, buddy. Well, welcome back. I know it was a long tenure, and like I said in our last show, man, I really appreciate you not only doing that for your work, for your family, but also tuning in every Tuesday, being with all our likers, followers, subscribers, all our fans jumping in here, and me and Jody as well. So appreciate you bearing through it and being with us today. Jody, how was your week, buddy? Man, it's been a week, man. It's lots going on, lots not going on. But what's happening in your neck of the woods?
It's been good. Good weekend of basketball games. March Madness started. Starting to turn spring here, so the snow's melting finally. So that's good.
Yeah.
Other than that, not much to complain about. Kind of a slow week for the Broncos, but that happens every now and then.
Oh, yeah. I guess, after the week we had before, if you want to call this a slow week, yeah, it was a little bit slower week. Got Mr. Michael Ronquillo talking about, letting everybody come into our chats and everything. A good friend here of our show as of late, Michael Ronquillo. He said, good evening, Keith, Jody, and Albert. Well, good evening to you, sir. Appreciate you jumping in. Appreciate you being part of our show, man. So, along those lines, Jody did a little guest appearance between last week and this week. He was over on the K&K show, speaking of some March Madness, getting his March Madness on, right, Jody?
That was 2 weeks ago, I guess.
Was that 2 weeks ago? I swear that you did something between our show this week and last. But if nothing else, yeah, you got to see him over there. I know Albert now. Albert was over on the Mile High Huddle, over there talking with Chad and Zach, and talking a little Broncos over there too, man. I guess my point is we're kind of getting around, boys.
We do indeed, and it's a good thing. And I don't see them as competitors. They're just colleagues of us, and I think they got me into podcasting. So thanks to them as well.
Yeah. We like our friends. We like all our Broncos country friends, right? Podcasting, out there as fans, out there as listeners, subscribers, whether it be our show or others. I think there's plenty to go around, and we appreciate everyone who jumps in and sees us, as I'm sure Chad and Zach do as well. So, got a lot of people jumping in the chat, gentlemen, but I just want to jump into, our show. So, before we get started, though, just a reminder, the Denver Bronco Roundup is brought to you by the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Check out the Rocky Mountain Sports Network for all your sports news, rumors, and podcasts. So, guys, the free agency is starting to wind down. pro days are starting to wind up. The NFL draft is just around the corner, and your Denver Broncos aren't looking to sit still this offseason, that's for sure. So this is just a one-word answer for our first question tonight. I'd like you to jump in, and we'll go to Albert first on this one. You're in charge of scheduling Sean Payton and George Payton, and you can only choose one of these events. Where are you sending them? Are you sending them to the Senior Bowl, the Shrine Bowl, the NFL Combine, or the Pro Day workouts?
And only one word answer, right?
Well, I guess one selection, yeah.
Yep.
I see what we're doing here. I'm going to go with bowl, Keith. I'm going to go with bowl. Yeah.
I go with yep.
Yep. No, if you had to choose one of those, if you this is kind of like, how do you value, looking at potential candidates coming out into the NFL draft? Which one of these are most important? Senior Bowl, Shrine Bowl, NFL Combine, or the Pro Day workouts for you, buddy?
I think the Pro Day workouts for me.
Okay, very good. Jody, which one do you like to tune into?
I think probably the Combine. It's probably got the most amount of people there, and it's probably what they would classify as the top guys. So that's probably where I'd like to be.
Yeah. It's just interesting. Right now, we have a lot of things that have been going on. I love watching the bowl games, Senior or Shrine. I like watching pro days as well, but I'd probably go with the Combine as well. Just honestly, from a standard fan perspective, it's probably something that gives you the best coverage, gives you good comparison, gives you good feedback. So by default, I would like to get to the chance to go to, like a Senior Bowl or a Shrine Bowl, be able to see the days that they're working out beforehand. The likelihood that I get into pro days anytime soon is probably a little bit lower. So I'll have to default to those other ones as well. So got an evening, gents, coming in from a Facebook user, and good evening, gents, coming in from Facebook user. So could be two different guys, could be two different gals, but drop your name in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Appreciate you.
I think that's Kenny.
Could be Kenny, could be Sis, could be Kurt. There's a multitude of possibilities, but appreciate everyone jumping in here. Maybe it's not Kenny, because we got Kenny coming in here and saying good evening to the best trio in the game. This is Kenny on this one, so appreciate it, Kenny. I appreciate you giving us some kudos, man, because kudos to you guys over there at the K&K show. You guys have been knocking it out of the park. I've been doing a lot of different things over there, not just the standard NFL coverage, but been covering some NCAA action as well. Had some good fun over there on the comment board the other night. So check out the K&K Sports Show as well. Since we're giving plugs to all the podcasts across Facebook, YouTube, and the like. So very, very good. I appreciate you guys getting to that first answer out of it. There's something bad about always watching those comment boards, gentlemen. Sometimes they'll get you a little off target. So should we get on target, or should I look at these comments over here? Let's see. One is Matt and one is Michelle. Not sure why my name is there. Laugh out loud. Or Albert's wife. Okay, well, appreciate you guys. Everybody who's tuning in, getting a chuckle. Hope you're getting a chuckle over there on the other side of the screens as well. We're going to jump right into it, though. Kind of Broncos and their free agency. The Broncos have spent the most guaranteed money and added or retained or re-signed 11 players so far. That said, there is one position that the Broncos have had rumors of comings and goings. We've had Alan Lazard being kind of tied to us at one point. Adam Thielen. There's rumors that there was big talks between the Broncos and him before he headed off to the Panthers. Maybe even Brandon Cooks. I heard a little bit of rumor there. And even as of lately, DeAndre Hopkins. So I'll go to Jody on this one first. D-Hop, or lots of different nicknames for DeAndre Hopkins, right, Jody?
Right.
Are the Broncos going to add a new wide receiver through the free agency?
If not free agency, the draft.
Oh no, that's not what I asked, man. That's not what I asked. Jeez.
If it's through free agency, I don't know who it'd be now. Maybe I'll throw a wild one out there. Odell Beckham.
Yeah.
They're trying to. I mean, they're trying to get guys that are catch the ball. I mean, Judy and Sutton have had drop problems in the past, and guys that want to and are willing to block. And that definitely is not Judy, and that's definitely not Sutton. And that just and on top of Sutton's $18 million cap hit, it just makes it where they're both tradable. I don't know that they're actively trying to get rid of Judy. If someone just wants to back the bus up with picks and come and get him, they'll listen. But Sutton, I think if they can get a 3 or a 4 and dump that salary, that's what they want to do there.
Well, as far as that answer is concerned, I'm going to give it I asked you about one thing, man. You go off on Cortland and Sutton, Cortland,
Do
Judy,
I think
Sutton.
they will?
Do they? I just asked if they are going to pick up a free agent wide receiver.
Yeah.
Boy, man.
I do think I think they will, because even if you keep what's on the roster now, you've got Patrick coming off an ACL. You've got or KJ Hamler coming back that's hurt. Your really only healthy guy is Judy and Sutton, who they're both talking about trading. So yeah, it makes sense that they're going to get someone.
Very good, man. Very good. I want to say hi to Muhammad, who's jumping in saying hello, everybody, and including, he's making sure he's saying what's up, Michael Ranquillo. We have good friends all here in the chat board, so I appreciate that. Albert, do we add a wide receiver in free agency before the draft, having nothing to do with Cortland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy?
There's a big possibility to do it, and from this list, only DeAndre Hopkins is available, and I'm not sure if I want him. So the others are already signed with teams. So from what I understand, so yeah.
You think they will or they won't? Probably not. Then
they will. And by the way, Antonio Brown is on the team again.
Antonio Brown is on a team again?
Yep. The Chiefs.
Team Antonio Brown?
Yeah,
No.
he signed up with the Cheesecake Factory.
Oh, yeah. Ha, 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 ha. I should give you the same old. That being said, let's for me, I think they're going to add a wide receiver. I could see a lot of different options out there. Speaking of Chiefs, true Chiefs, McCole Hardman's out there still. Last time I checked, N'Keal Harry is a kind of a project that the Patriots and now I think the Bears are giving up on. Might be an interesting pickup. But you're right. I think they're, as far as what Jody was saying, I think they're looking for making sure that they have a sure set of hands in case something happens in the future, in case we see changes as far as our roster is concerned. So,
and I saw in the comments Michael Thomas too. Yeah, Michael Thomas with the history he had with Sean Payton might be a.
He actually reworked his deal and he's coming back with the New Orleans Saints. So that as much as that was an option maybe to begin with, unfortunately that's not going to be a possibility. So also have Kurt joining in here, Facebook user. Says, "What's up, boys?" Kurt here. What's up, Kurt? Good to see you, man. Appreciate you jumping in here. And now I think we're going to get to some of the questions I know that you guys were in the message board talking about just a little bit ago. Anthony Rivera was talking about it as well. But where there's smoke, there's fire, gentlemen. There's been a lot of smoke around our wide receivers, Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton. Seems like that smoke has kind of died down around the Cortland Sutton, at least as far as after the initial talks of him maybe maybe being shopped, but not actively being shopped. Just was listening to offers, but sounds like there's a lot of people that were interested in Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy, there has been ties between the Cowboys. There's been ties behind the Patriots, and as of recently, as Michael Ronquillo is pointed out in our chat, and I'll try to give you some credit where I can. I'll find your comment in here, Michael. But that being said, like I said, a lot of talk about Jerry Jeudy possibly being traded. I'll go back around the horn and go to Albert. Albert, reportedly, it's a first-round pick that's been the sticking point for the Cowboys, been the sticking point for the Patriots, as both of those teams have seemed to move on. Browns are still out there looking for another wide receiver. With a first-round pick possibly still being too expensive for even the Browns, do you think that Jerry Jeudy does get traded this, between now and I guess the end of the draft?
No, I don't think so. Right now, Jeudy is very inexpensive because he's still in his last year of the rookie contract, and so if they don't get a first round pick, he is not going anywhere.
So no first round pick is going to be offered. He's not going to go anywhere. That's your opinion there, buddy?
Yeah.
How about Jody, man? What's your thoughts on this, man?
I do agree with Albert on the. I mean, you've got Jeudy for 2 more years on a team-friendly deal, but I mean, they are trying to trade him because of. I mean, he is not great in the blocking game, and I think when you're in 11 personnel or 12 personnel, which I think they're going to run a lot this year, you've got to be a wanting and active blocker. So I think right now they're holding firm that they want a 1, but I think come draft time that might switch to a 2 if they can get a 2 and something else. I think they'd probably let him go.
Well, that pulls us right into the comment that I just put up on the screen. Michael Ronquillo says Browns are interested in wide receiver Jerry Jeudy. Would you trade Jerry Jeudy for a second or third round pick and an NFL player? Right player. It had to be the right player coming out, especially coming out.
It's got to be the right player. Not just for. I wouldn't trade him just for 3.
No.
Maybe a 2 and 2 2s or 2 and a 3 and a player or something.
There you go.
There's just too much upside.
Okay. I'll bring it back around to Albert on the same question and answer Michael Ronquillo. Jeez, having a little bit of trouble with the mouth this evening. Would you trade Jerry Jeudy for a second or a third and an NFL player? What are your thoughts on that there, Albert?
Yeah, if it is one of the players that fills one of our gaps, then yes.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Interesting, man. I'm surprised that both of you guys are willing or are interested in looking at trading Jerry Jeudy. Again, you guys, we've made points on here before. We don't have a whole lot of depth. Cortland Sutton has been a disappointment coming back off his injury. We have Tim Patrick that is coming off of his injury. We have Jerry Jeudy that's really been the only, bright spot, especially if you look at the wide receiver room coming out of last year. It's really tough to obviously bring in a wide receiver and make sure that he's productive. If it was that easy, then you do it left, right, and otherwise. But I'd be all on board for holding on. I would need a first, and I would need probably. I'm not talking bottom first either. I don't want a 27th round or 27th pick in the draft or a 25th in the draft. I'm probably talking top 20 pick in the draft if I want to trade the asset that is Jerry Jeudy. Again, you can end up putting that 5th-year option on him. You get him for 2 years. It's well worth it. To get for 1 first-round pick.
And maybe if Jeudy gets traded, maybe that is the promoter for Sutton to be the number 1 again, and maybe he might perk up again and be the Sutton that we had.
getting back to what you guys said as far as a player and a draft pick, that player, in my opinion, would have to be a wide receiver coming back of some sort. You'd have to automatically recoup that, in my opinion. I don't see how you could go down at Jerry Jeudy and head into the draft knowing that you have Tim Patrick, KJ Hamler, Cortland Sutton as your starting three. I think you need something back in return. I don't know what you guys, if you want any thoughts on that, but that's the position I would need back, in my opinion.
I just don't see a team willing to give up a one like Denver wants. I mean, Brandon Cooks just got traded for a 5 and a 6. I mean, arguably he's probably a better wide receiver than Jerry Jeudy, or he's proven more. I mean, Jeudy is a little bit younger age-wise, but I mean, a 5 and a 6 for a guy that's been in Sean Payton's offense before. So, I mean, if there are teams still interested, I mean, it makes you think, what are they really offering?
Well, if they're in talks, but a first is just too high, I imagine they're talking second round picks or second and an additional later pick would be my guess.
I think Jeudy, but I think what Denver's trying to do is, now that you've called on Jeudy, hey, Jeudy might not be available, but here's Cortland Sutton. While you're on the phone, you're looking for a wide receiver. We have one for you.
Would you be interested on what's behind curtain number 2?
Right.
I believe this is Kurt as well. He says there's lots of talk about Callaway from New Orleans. Obviously, that would be good ties, and I think a good fit, obviously, in this system. And another comment coming in saying, I heard a little today about moving Sutton or Jeudy and adding OBJ. Would you like that? The only thing that I wouldn't subscribe to that necessarily is they weren't one of the 14 teams that went down and saw his workout. And honestly, when that happened, I thought maybe that's a mistake. At least you should be looking. I know that he has plenty on tape, but you'd certainly like to see him coming back from an injury and what he looks like in person, in my opinion. So I don't know if I buy into the talk of maybe an OBJ coming to us. And quite honestly, I don't know if that's the leadership that you necessarily need in this locker room, or at least in that wide receiver room right now either. Hasn't necessarily had the best of pass, but it seems like he's moved on some. Jody, what's your opinion on OBJ?
Yeah. I definitely don't see OBJ and Jeudy on the same team. I mean, when Jeudy was not getting the ball, I mean, he was letting it be known that he was not happy. And I think OBJ will be the same way. And I just think I think they're just banking on Tim Patrick. Really, he is a willing blocker, and I think that's what they want. And especially Sutton and even Jeudy, you've seen both of them. They didn't want to block last year. They didn't want to actively go out and get blocks. And I think when you're in 12 personnel, you're going to be blocking a lot.
Agreed. Albert, your thoughts on this? OBJ to the Broncos?
I hope not. It's too much history and too much garbage coming with him. The same thing that would have happened with Antonio Brown if you would get him. Too much, no. I don't see that. And here's the other thing with Delcic. You can. It is not completely a certain, but from the line of scrimmage, you can have a Delcic too, and you can run pretty decent routes as well. And then with Tim Patrick, I think you're pretty decent in that area.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this wide receiving team, honestly, I shouldn't even say wide receiver. I should say how this receiving core comes about. Obviously, in a Paton offense, it can take on many different looks, and doesn't necessarily need to be all about having that number one wide receiver. But that's a kind of digresses us right into kind of my third question in this segment, guys. Though the Broncos have added the 11 players, no true football expert would claim that the Broncos are finished with a Super Bowl product ready to hit the field. So, I just want to get your top positions we need to finish in free agency and heading into the draft. Tell me, if you have a name or two that you like as well. Feel free to throw that in there, Albert. What positions do we need, and if so, are there any names that you're looking for or looking at, to fill those holes?
Yeah, definitely center. Uh, Cushionberry is the weakest link on the O line right now, and he definitely cannot keep up with the other four that we have now. So I heard some good news about Ben Jones, or Jones as a center. Even although he's older in the teeth, but he still is a really good center. And draft one in the later rounds of the draft, and let him sit for a year behind Ben, and then next year let him. Next season, let him the new rookie start and see what it brings. Because I think we started Cushionberry way too early.
Yeah, yeah. A couple years in now, I think. 2 or 3 years, I forget now. I think it's 2 years in, if I remember correctly. So
3 years.
3 years in. Okay,
Yeah.
very good. So center is your major focus, and so are you advocating that we should get that free agent, or would you rather wait until the draft, or do you think we need to do both?
We need to do both. Get a veteran now who is already seasoned, and have a rookie sit for a year and learn.
That's a lot invested into the center position, man. You'd have to find a way to probably move Lloyd Cushenberry if you were going to probably pull that off, or move on from him. Jody, what are your thoughts, man? Where do we have holes still, man? And again, do you have any names?
I would like to upgrade the center position. There, some of the guys I initially wanted have signed. There's a couple guys still out there. Albert mentioned Ben Jones from the Titans. I don't think Connor McGovern is ex-Bronco who is re-signed yet. I think they'll address that in the draft, probably in the third round. And then another position I think we lack a lot of depth on is D-line. I think DJ Jones is probably going to move to the outside as a 3 or 5 technique, and then you got Mike Purcell at the nose, and who else? You don't really have another big body there.
Henningsen.
Yeah, you got Henningsen and the other rookie that'll probably play D end, but you don't have a true one technique behind Purcell. And I think that's a big. You can move DJ Jones back in, but he's always played better because he came from a 4-3 in San Francisco.
Yeah,
he's always played better. He's not a true, a big guy that eats up in the middle. So, I think that's probably their next biggest, or probably their biggest position of weakness right now.
Jody's all about stiffening up right down the center of our lines, man, making sure that we have somebody that's lining up over that center guard position, and someone that's going to be making sure that we're in that center, taking over at that center position as well.
And I think running back too. You got P. Ryan, and you just can't bank on Javonte Williams. You don't know what that injury.
Mm-hmm.
You got P. Ryan, and what else really behind him?
Javonte.
I think you're gonna have to draft, because they have done nothing with Latavius Murray yet. I think they're gonna draft a running back. Those would be my 3 right there. All signs have pointed the way that Ben Powers right away, Mike McGlinchey, Chris Manhertz right away. They're gonna run the ball and they're gonna be physical, and they need another running back that can do it. I don't know if I think draft. I think Zeke will cost too much. There's some other guys that I think they'll probably address both of those to address most of it in the draft.
Yeah, it seems like free agency's winding down. If positions that you guys already hit, center. For me, I think that's going to be a position that we might be. I have said this from the very beginning. I think we're going to be living with that position. We're going to be living with Lloyd Cushenberry in that spot. I don't think we're going to go out and get that free agent at this point. There's really only one that's out there that's worthy of probably bringing in and putting him in and taking over Lloyd Cushenberry's spot. Trying to pick that person up, unless you get lucky and you have one of those centers, you have like a Weipler or something like that from Ohio State or Patterson from Notre Dame. Maybe they're still sticking around and you'd be able to pick them up in the third round. That would be fantastic. But otherwise, you might be looking at other positions. And if you're talking about a fifth round, sixth round guy that you're picking up at center, and he's the guy that's beating out Lloyd Cushenberry, well, you should just give Lloyd Cushenberry his walking papers right then. That's not a very good sign that a rookie that comes in on the fifth, sixth round can beat out a guy that's been there for 3 years now. So
I think
go ahead.
I think Jones might be an acquisition, maybe like an Evan Mathis, kind of way late in the off season, very last minute, that they can get him on the very cheap for like a 1 year type deal and then see where it goes from there.
Yeah, maybe that's.
He's the only one that really makes sense. He's the only one that really makes sense to me. I mean, I think Connor McGovern is going to get probably a 2 or 3 year deal.
And I think he got a deal. If I remember right, I think he's with the Jets, if I remember correctly, or he went to the Patriots. I can't remember, but I believe he got a deal. So
I mean, Ben Jones is really the only. I think Rodney Hudson's still out there, but he's way longer.
42.
Somebody like one of those guys you might pick up right before training camp starts. On a cheap veteran minimum deal or something.
They'll probably bring in some depth, but again, I just don't know if it's a guy that's going to be able to compete with Lloyd Cushenberry and take him out of his spot. I just think that's someplace you're going to have to live. As far as other positions that I'd really like to see the Broncos address, for me, I still have to live with edge rusher. Again, we don't have any depth at edge at this point. We have guys that are trying to play a new position, and Baron Browning, and he continue in that position? We have Nick Benito that's still coming along. We have
he's the one that's got to step up. I mean, he
absolutely
was your second round pick, your first draft pick last year, and from what I've heard, he's been bulking up. He's got to get bigger.
100%, man.
They really need a lot from him. I mean, he's not. I'm discounting Randy Gregory. He's got to stay healthy.
Yes, and that's what I was going to get to. Randy Gregory on the other side. Here's a guy that has a trouble, staying on the field for one reason or another all throughout his career. So when we look at the depth at edge rusher, I don't know what you're looking at, as far as, hey, we're proven, we got somebody, we're fine, Randy Gregory completely fell off after Bradley Chubb left the building, and I think, and then his injury came on, and he came back, I think, the last game or two, but again, here's a position of need that I think that's still a position that you can actually go out and you can actually address in free agency. There's a lot of edge rushers out there still available, in comparison to like the center position where you're really looking at one guy, and who knows how many teams are bidding on this one guy. We could bring in a Calais Campbell if we wanted to kind of bring him home. We could bring in an Ngakoue. Ngakoue is, this stat I was kind of surprised at. He's had 8 sacks every single year he's been in the league. So talk about consistency at the position. You're not probably getting the best edge setter, but you've certainly got an edge rusher, and probably better edge setter than what we currently have in Nick Benito. Maybe could help further that position along and get some rotation and get a guy that can be on the field consistently and plays the position. So
I don't think guys like that will get signed till after the draft. Once teams figure out what holes do we still have.
That's fair.
Especially like a Calais Campbell. I mean, Calais Campbell, Rodney Hudson, guys that are older like that. There's no need to rush out and get them right now.
Like I said, unless you're in love with the guy, and
right.
Calais might come in on, like I said, on the right deal, being more of a hometown guy. You might get him on the cheap. Might as well just go ahead, get it done, get out of the way, get him in the door, and you can always. With a guy like that, you're never hurting his feelings when you're drafting behind him. He understands where he's at in his career. He's not getting replaced at 27. So Albert, go ahead.
McGovern signed with the Bills. 3 year,
The
23
Bills.
million.
There you go. There you go.
No,
Michael
that's the other Connor McGovern. That's the Connor McGovern from Dallas.
Multiple Conor McGoverns. Like there's multiple Lamar Jacksons, by the way, just so everyone's aware. Michael Ronquillo, cornerback, CBs or cornerback depth is also another need for the Broncos. Yeah, I'm really excited about what Math has put on the field, and I'm excited for what his next step will be. Hopefully, it's a good sophomore season, and he's able to, continue on his trajectory. He played opposite PS2, and and was able to hold his own. DBs, we did bring in, I'm forgetting his name, but we did bring in a kick returner slash DB. And Asang Bassi, by the way, last week we were talking about him. Asang Bassi is back onto the Denver Broncos roster as well. He's a DB. So we've brought in a few names, but I wouldn't discount what you're saying there, Michael. It's not like we have a huge amount of depth in that position, and especially in a VJ defense, it's someplace that you definitely would like to have a little bit more depth in that cornerback slash safety role. Also talking about people coming back, PJ Locke came back as well, by the way. So that was a nice little signing that I was excited about. So, gentlemen, I just want to pause here for a minute, unless you have something else you want to talk about on this particular topic. Going once, going twice. Well, just to let you guys know, I'm a huge NFL fan, obviously, as we're sitting here talking about the Denver Bronco Roundup on the Denver Broncos on the Denver Bronco Roundup, and I'm also an NBA fan, and I'm an NHL fan, and I'm a Major League Baseball guy as well. But one thing I'm not that big into, but I'd be crazy if I said I wasn't obviously a little bit tuned into it as of right now, is a little bit of March Madness that's been going on. As one seed seems like they're falling left and right, and two seeds falling left and right, whether it be men's or women's basketball. But not to be outdone in the madness category is our fantastic sponsor, Willow Seasonings and Blends, because right now they have their own March Madness going on. Right now, all their rubs, all their seasoning rubs, are $9, and all their sauces are $7. And check this out, man, free shipping on all your orders that are $50 or more. It's a veteran-owned company. It's a Colorado-based business. They just recently went out in their very, very first barbecue competition. Been a spice maker for quite some time, but actually putting it on the meat, presenting it, putting it out there. They took a fourth place in one category, sixth place in another. Way to knock it out of the park, Dave, over there. So also, hey, check this out. If you need another reason to go check out these fantastic spices, rubs, and sauces, he's a huge Bronco fan, guys. So, that's just should be all the reason right there. Check them out. Support DBR, the Denver Bronco Roundup. Support our sponsor, Willow Seasonings and Blend. Be a gourmet in the kitchen or out around the barbecue, especially heading into the spring season. So head on over to willowseasonings.com. That's willowseasonings.com, and put a little spice in your life, man. I was excited for Dave, man. He's knocking it out of the park in that first competition, man. He's all fired up for some more, guys. So hopefully he'll get some around our neck of the woods. He should come all the way up here to Helena, Montana, and put on a little barbecue show. I'll get him in. I'll get him in one. Man. If you ever check out any of his he's big on Twitter or his Facebook page or anything like that, man. He's always grilling on something, man, and he's got the most delicious looking meals on the barbecue, it seems like, man. So yeah, I'm missing some Dave's barbecue. Hey, I like this. This is a name I kind of forgot about. Kenny kind of just jumping in on our last topic. He said here, under the radar cheaper option may just be need to be one on a new team. Thoughts of Jarvis Landry?
No, I like it because he played in New Orleans with Sean Payton, so he knows this system. A slot type guy that is going to go out and block. Yeah, I've said that for a while. I like that as a signing or an option at WR. for
At
sure.
WR.
At wide receiver.
At the old WR, man. You sound like me talking about the DBR. Albert, what do you think of Jarvis Landry, man?
Yeah, he has been a great wide receiver from what I've seen from him. So, and he could put some competition in there for the two guys. So yeah, I would like that.
Yeah, I think great call out, Kenny. Man, that's a bodies type, and we were talking a little bit earlier about the hands. Jarvis Landry has the hands. He doesn't have catching issues. He's that body type that's somewhere in between a Jerry Jeudy and a Cortland Sutton. Capable, kind of that Tim Patrick almost type of body style. And to have two Tim Patricks on your team is, I think, exactly what the Denver Broncos are kind of looking for. It's the reason that I was really, before all free agency even opened up, obviously by me stating this name, Jacoby Myers was a name that I was really interested in. Thought he could be that guy. Thought he was another Tim Patrick type of guys. But Jarvis Landry, yeah, last time I checked, he was still out there on the market, Kenny, and that's a heck of a call. I would sign that up all day long, man. Appreciate the call out. Good call, man. So, gentlemen, new owners, new coaches. The 11 new players I talked about before the draft, but new offense and a new defense. So I just want to have a little discussion here for a little bit and maybe throw a few questions. I'll start, things off with just a general question. Jody, I know that you've been kind of talking a little bit about this, but man, what do you expect this offense to look like, given the components we have in place right now, whether it be coaches and players, and tell Broncos fans what we should expect to see coming into this next season.
I think Denver is going to run the ball a lot. I think they're going to be in a lot of 12 personnel.
I was gonna say for our layman's out there, explain 12 personnel if you don't mind.
2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends. They brought in a fullback, something they haven't had on this roster in a few years. And I think Sean Payton, I've heard a lot of people say Russ doesn't fit Payton's scheme. I think Sean Payton is smart enough to understand what fits Russ, and he is going to build an offense that works for Russ. I think Russ, you can already see he's lost weight. He knows that what he did last year did not work, and it didn't work at all. So he's got to lose the weight. He's got to get back to his old playing ways of wanting to run and scrambling and getting out of the pocket. And I think, I think with the improved Russ and better play calling and a much improved O-line and dedication to the run, I think that's what you're going to see a lot of. Don't expect, Russ to go out like he did last year and throw 40 or 50 times a game. That's just not going to happen.
So there's no way he's getting near 4,000 yards then.
No, I think he can, because he's still, if you go off of what his average is, what is it, like 230 a game? That's pretty close to 4,000 at 17 games. So
okay.
I think, he's always been a 15 for, 24, 230 to 240, couple touchdowns type quarterback. That's what I expect. And at the end of the year, you're going to be close to, you're going to 30, little more than 30 or a little bit more touchdowns, 4,000, somewhere in there.
Okay.
But it's not so much about the numbers for me with Russ. It's how he's, you can put up big numbers and you're not winning. You can get garbage numbers in the end. And so, just look at the last 2 games. When he was making plays and putting up numbers, and they won to beat Sandy or LA. If you're turning the ball over for 3 quarters and at the end of the game you've thrown for 300 because you've thrown it 50 times, so what?
Yeah, very true. Very true. Hey, Albert, so what do you think this offense looks like in 2023, 2024 underneath this new regime, these new players, these new coaches?
Sean Payton has his dream quarterback. What he did with New Orleans, he had to do with 2 quarterbacks, Drew Brees and Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill was the runner, and Drew Brees was the pocket passer.
Okay,
And
I'll take that.
now he has that all in one person. So I think for Drew Brees, for Sean Payton, this was an easy call to go to the Broncos because he now has a quarterback that can do it all for him. And yeah, it will be. I think we will finally have an identity, and we will be a run heavy team.
Yeah, I went back. I looked at a little bit of tape, just what Sean Payton maybe looked like with the New Orleans Saints. It was the thing that I'm really excited about, in this next season, is the scheming and the planning that he puts together, and the way he likes to dictate a game. And when I'm talking about Sean Payton, he goes out there and he does his research. He has an idea of how he wants to attack each opponent. And that's going to change from week to week, and that's something that I don't feel like we've had a whole lot of in Broncos country, in the last few regimes. I felt like we had a cookie cutter plan that we had very few wrinkles in, and very rarely did that play out, especially towards the end of the season. The other thing that, like I said, that I like about it is he dictates. I see times when he's out there, and he will put 4 wide receivers out there. And he'll do that for a couple of series. And then he'll completely flip the script and talk about that 12 personnel that Jody was talking about. Get 2 tight ends out there, get 1 running back out there, and just start pulling people and start shoving it down your throat with the run game as well. So we're building that team that we can do everything. As Albert was mentioning, same thing. I was chuckling at you, Albert, because Drew Brees was the lifeblood of that New Orleans Saints offense. But you're right in the fact that in the end, Taysom Hill was brought in to be that extra piece, that option piece, that piece that could run behind that line that they had built. And that was not something that they wanted to do with an aging Drew Brees. As Jody pointed out, we got a guy that's in Russell Wilson that's out there, and he's losing the weight. He's getting in shape. And I think you're absolutely right in what both of you guys are saying or alluding to, in the fact that we're going to have a quarterback that's going to be able to run this offense in a way that Sean Payton's going to want to run it. It'll be fun because I think with the positions that we've accumulated across the offensive line, blocking tight ends, a downhill runner like Perrine, I'm excited for what we'll be able to see. Like I said, watch out for Powers. I think he's going to be a huge piece, and I think
he's a monster in the run game.
He is a monster in the run game, and he can pull like nobody's business. Was a wrestler in high school, all-state wrestler. The guy knows how to be down there in the trenches and get things done. I'm really excited. Like I said, from what we've had in guard play, and no disrespect even to Miners, who's still on the roster and will be probably playing opposite from him, I'm telling you, Powers is somebody that I'm really, really excited about. And he's going to blow up that running game. He's going to blow it open like we haven't seen in years. And that's my 2 cents on that I guess. So
another underestimated move is Davis Webb. I think the QB coach. Look what and it wasn't all him, but look what he did for Daniel Jones, who had a horrible year the year before. He came in and he got Daniel Jones. They got him out of the pocket. They got him to run. I mean, what do you have? 6 rushing touchdowns this year.
Yep.
Got him to, make the check down. That's what Russ needs to do. You don't have to throw deep bombs, but you can, but you don't have to make a big play every time. Get the 3 and 4 yards and, you can laugh at Daniel Jones at the end of the year and say he had 15 touchdowns, but he kept the drives moving, and you have to factor in those 6 rushing touchdowns too. I mean, those are big still.
Agreed. I'm guessing, again, we have a lot of Facebook users coming in, but Sup family sounds like an Adam and Kayla. I don't know if that's the truth, but whoever you are, sup to you. It's good to see you in here. Appreciate it, man. So, it's interesting, our coaching staff I've said it in our past podcasts, I'm almost more excited about the coaching than I am about the players that we're going to get in, or the players that we retained. I think the coaching will have just as big of an impact, if not more. And like you said, Davis Webb is a part of that. I'm excited to see what he's able to do with Russell Wilson. He is a name that's that's young and it's new, but it's also been known to have an impact, on rosters, whether it be in Buffalo, whether it be in New York already. So third stop here being in Denver and truly being a coach, it'll be fun to see exactly what he
hope
does
that
for Russ.
Him and Payton can get Russ to. I mean, Russ's last 2 years, he's even in Seattle, he's wanted to be a pocket passer. He's been hesitant to run. Get back to getting out of the pocket more and running. That's what made you successful. And trust that Sean Payton is going to, when we boot you out, put you in positions that you're still going to get blocked for when we get you outside the pocket, where you can see over the line and back to what made you successful.
Yeah,
I really hope that they can ingrain that in Russ. You've got to move. You can't just stand back there and get hit.
Fair. Albert?
I think that's one of the reasons why he was probably afraid to run too, because he did not have an offensive line that could protect him, and so maybe that's why he wanted to be a pocket passer, to get it out of his hands quickly and be done with it. And I think that might be one of the reasons.
I mean, I think last year was maybe a blessing in disguise for us, because I had heard reports that his agent told him, because Russ said he wants to play till he's 45 or 10 more years or whatever.
Sure.
That the only way you're going to do that is you're going to have to stand in the pocket and not take hits. Well, he stood in the pocket last year and it was so bad. You may take no hits standing there, but if you play like that, no one wants you. So you're going to have to, you seen that isn't going to work for you to play 10 more years that way. So you've got to get back to your old ways, but do it smartly. You can't run like Lamar Jackson and get blown up and take big shots, but do it smartly, slide. I mean, just like that Chiefs game. Instead of diving for an extra yard and getting a concussion and you're out the next 2 games, slide and trust the running game to get you a touchdown right there.
100%, man. It will be interesting to see the change that Russell Wilson goes through. Obviously, there will be changes with everything else that's happening, but whether that be that pocket passer, whether that be outside the pocket, whatever Sean Payton puts in front of him, it'll be interesting to see exactly how he's able to execute. Albert, we'll switch over to the defense. Kind of running a little bit long on time right now, so I just want to go same general question, man. What do you expect? VJ's back in town. He's no longer a head coach. He's defensive coordinator only. He's had a couple of stints in Miami and over in Arizona. Here he is with the Denver Broncos once again. What are you expecting to see out of the VJ defense as he takes the field in 2023-24?
If I had a crystal ball, oh wait, I have one.
Oh, hey, how about that? All right. Fantastic.
Let me confirm with the crystal ball.
Well, I'll tell you what, keep that around. Stay on after the show. I have a few more questions, but go ahead.
I think it will be a pretty aggressive defense. Hopefully we'll get something like the no-fly zone again, like last year. We might not call it the no-fly zone, but a no-fly zone 2.0, and I think we will go after the quarterback. I think that is what we will see a lot. That's what you did with the Cardinals, pretty much, with the Dolphins. It came out, and it worked really well for them. I think we will see something like that.
Aggressive towards the quarterback, man.
Mm-hmm.
Jody, what are your thoughts about VJ? What it looks like, what can we expect that might be a little bit different from last year?
I think it's going to be real similar. They're going to be aggressive again, going out. I mean, VJ is aggressive, and I think he's going to put guys in position to be aggressive. I think that in turn, both corners, are going to have think both corners are going to have big years this year. I mean, PS2, I think he didn't get the turnovers with the interceptions like last year, and I think that's going to come this year.
You know, I hate to be on the opposite side of things, but I don't know if I'm going to agree necessarily with that. I think you guys are right. I think we're going to be aggressive. I think we're going to go after that quarterback. I think our safety and our cornerback play will have to be fantastic because of that. I don't know if it necessarily results in PS2 getting more interceptions, but I do expect our safeties to be able to pick those up. Here's guys now that we're putting into to man coverage a lot of times, maybe a zone deep as far as the safeties are concerned. If you have that deep zone from the safeties, that's when you can get a Justin Simmons that's running around back there, or as you guys want, maybe a Caden Stearns back there running around back there and getting interceptions. I think so. I think it'll be a step up for the safeties as far as some of those stats are concerned. But I 100% agree with you. Here's a guy that he'll put 5 guys, 6 guys, 7 guys on the line, and sometimes he'll bring 3, sometimes he'll bring 4, sometimes he'll bring 5, sometimes he'll bring 6. You know, you don't know what's coming, and it's a lot funner, a lot more fun defense to watch. Every given Sunday, and it's a lot more aggressive. It does have its ups and downs. Expect maybe a couple more burns to be happening at times, in his style of defense, because it is so aggressive. If you don't get to that quarterback, if you're not getting the pressure, if you're not just getting them a little bit off kilter, it can mean completions for long completions, or long plays too. So it's kind of a live and die by aggressiveness that he likes to play. But I just want it to be something we're aware of, but I think it's going to still be a great defense. And just kind of getting back to Michael Ronquillo's comment, like I said before, I think that's why we'll have to have that depth. I think that's why you do see an Asang Bassi that's came back into the fold, just as an example. So,
see, and I think this D will benefit Devar Mathis a lot because he, Evero last year, they were in a lot of zone, and he's a man-to-man guy.
Yep.
And I think that this is really going to benefit him because he was a pretty good man-to-man corner coming out of Pitt.
Yep.
And they've shown a lot of faith in him, really, because they really have not went after any big-name free agents at the cornerback position. And they weren't really tied to anyone. They were really, I think they have a lot of faith in him, and they liked what they seen down the stretch. I'll excuse his first start in San Diego. I mean, but even in that game, he had some big-time stops when they needed him. He got some holdings,
and some of them were not correct.
Yeah, some bad calls too on there too. Yeah, 100% agree with you, man. I think they've shown a lot of respect and a lot of appreciation and faith, I guess you could say, in Damari Mathis. But at the same time, to play opposite PS2 all season long and not to have your name called out left, right, otherwise about getting burned or missing a tackle or falling behind on a play, that's a tough assignment to hold down, and he did phenomenally. Not only that, I think he excels in tackling, probably better than most corners in the league. Him coming up from the secondary is just as scary as most safeties on any team. So I think we really might have hit it out of the park on Damari Mathis. Hoping his sophomore year is not a sophomore slump. He continues on this trajectory. I think the Broncos do too, just like you said. They put a lot of faith. No ties to any big cornerback names in the free agent market, and it's not like they're loaded up on draft picks as well. So all right, last one. I'll go back to you, Jody. Special teams. Special teams has got a lot of changes as well. Even a few hours before we came on the show, Riley Dixon's coming back as our punter. We've got a new kick returner that was added to our roster since last time we were on last Tuesday. So it could look a lot of different. We got certainly that coaching room looks a little bit different as we have some of the most experienced special team coaches in the league. So, Jody, what do you expect special teams to look like this next year?
I don't think they were happy with their punter going out and getting Reese or bringing back Riley Dixon. They pulled the tender off of Waitman,
Yeah.
and then I think and it's probably goes back to last year. They haven't been real happy with Montel Washington. They brought in Tremaine Smith from Houston, who can play corner and is a punt and kick returner to compete there. Montel has a lot of speed, but he had a lot of other issues last year. And I mean, the fact that Rosberg benched him right away, being the special teams guru that he is, I think that was some big red flags.
Speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Brandon McManus, I mean, he's a veteran who, I mean, yeah, you probably could get a better kicker, but he's probably still a top 10 kicker in the NFL. Big leg, and he's your NFL PA rep, and so he does a lot for this team. So
Yeah. So some changes. Obviously, we'll probably see some differences in the kick return for sure. Like you said, competition heating up there. And obviously punter coming in, replacing out Waitman, who struggled at times. But Albert, anything in addition you want to add to the special teams?
Definitely refreshing. What were we last year? 30th or 31st in special teams. So it only can get better. So, and I was including the last two games when Jerry Rosberg took over, and they improved, and we were still in the last two places. So it can only get better. So I think it is refreshing. New special teams coordinator, some new names, and then like Jody said, the corner that is going to be the returner. And so maybe Washington can start really focusing on being a wide receiver.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think his best skill set is still as a returner. So, I'd love to see him be able to excel there. But Montreal Washington obviously could be another piece in the wide receiving game. I think that, like I said, the biggest thing is, especially again from the coaching, and they bring in Westhoff, probably the even a bigger guru than Rosberg was as far as special teams is concerned. And as Michael Ronquillo's coming in here, Ben Kotwika, who's the special teams coordinator. I think between the two of those, I think we're going to have just a complete flip as far as our special teams are concerned. Obviously, it's nice because typically these are not positions that are even addressed in free agency. But we go out there, we get a kick returner, we get a punter. It talks about how important Sean Payton and this coaching staff also believe that third phase of the game is important. It's just not offense. It's just not defense. Being able to pin a offense back against the goal line is important. Being able to not get that return on that 40-yard punt is important. And I think again, one of the biggest, I guess, additions and subtractions and why it happened. Bringing in Riley Dixon, getting rid of Corliss Waitman. I'll go back to again those kicks that were missed by Brandon McManus, and there was a couple that were on film that were just fumbled snaps and not good holds as they were trying to come back to the holder, and that was Waitman. And now you got a 7-year veteran in Riley Dixon who knows what to do, and he's going to be able to get it down and maybe solve some of those errors that had gotten Broncos country wanting to push McManus out the door. I just warn everybody about that idea and that mindset. I feel like half the league is struggling to find a decent kicker every single year, and you push somebody like McManus out the door who maybe had one bad year with a few bad kicks. You might be kicking yourself as you're that team that's now missing extra points and missing field goals left, right, and otherwise, trying to find your next kicker. So,
and it's the side of the ball that you can't let beat you. I mean, Denver let special teams beat them multiple times last year. Like you said, bad snaps, fumbled punts. I mean, Montel Washington catching it inside the 5. And,
yep.
Then we're starting drives down inside the 5-yard line. I mean, you don't need – I mean, it'd be nice to have, but you don't need punt returns or kick returns every time. You just need that side of the ball to be smart and not beat you.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. It's too many times we beat ourselves in what we were doing, whether it was again handling of a field goal or
Right, taking the little things for granted, like
yeah,
like you said, holding a snap.
holding a
I mean,
snap
you
or
think that's anyone can do that. Well,
or
that was proven wrong.
or a delay of game during a kick.
Yeah, or delay game during that might just be a little bit more towards the coaching, and that also obviously got improved as well. But no, seriously, I mean, Corliss Waitman, he can boom it out there, but if you boom it out there and you out kick your coverage, and
Right.
the guy gets a 30-yard return off of it, it makes no difference that you boomed at 55 yards to begin with. So. I just expect a different level of attention and a whole different special teams unit, one that actually might contribute to this team and their wins in the coming year. So I'm excited about that. Gentlemen, like I said, we're getting a little bit long in the tooth, but I did want to hit just a couple other a couple other topics, see if we can get to it. A lot of names have been out there in the offseason. A lot of things have been happening. We traded a number 1 draft pick. New quarterback for our rival Raiders, and just about everything in between. So I just wanted to give a few moments to see if you guys wanted to talk about any of the big names out there, or what's been happening, or what's still going on. And this is a good question, Michael. I don't know yet if we have this answer. He's wondering who the new long snapper is for the Broncos after Bobenmeyer was taken by the Raiders. Speaking of kind of moves that were happening, I think we're still going to be searching for that long snapper, is at least last I knew, or last I checked the roster. So
Didn't Wattenberg play long snapper once in a while too?
I do not know. You're the
Nah,
Wattenberg fan, buddy. You should know that better than any of us, I think, man. I think you're secretly leading up his fan club, if I remember right. At least based off of last year. No,
No,
giving you a bad time, buddy.
I'm a Henningsen guy.
That's right, Henningsen fan. I forgot about that. That's right, Wattenberg, Henningsen. But I'll go over to Jody first. Jody, free agency's been big this year. It hasn't been a slow year, and there's still names out there. Anything in particular you want to talk about real quick before we get off the air?
no, I think Denver's really addressed massive needs in free agency, and now they've put themselves in a position in the draft, if they don't acquire any more picks or trades or anything, that you can go probably best player available. I mean, if you're stuck with, I wouldn't say stuck, but if Kush is your answer there, then so be it. I mean, you could do worse there. There's not really a position that they are just hurting. Like last year when there were I just don't see a position now that it's just you've got to upgrade. You got to get some depth pieces and some different things, but I don't see a position of massive need now. So, I mean, they addressed what they needed to in free agency, and so that makes the draft nice, where it's not this guy's an A+ player, but I've got to get this player because he fits a need.
Yeah, so I'm going to take a C+ player.
C+ player just because.
Yep. I hear you, buddy. I hear you. It'll be a fun draft, man. It's nice that we address free agency. How about you, Albert, man? Like I said, we have a Jimmy Garoppolo in Oakland now. We've got, we got Moore over in Chicago with a big trade. It's DJ Moore that went. Brandon Cooks trade happened to the Cowboys. Man, a lot of things have been happening. Anything that sticks out in your mind you want to just talk about for a second? Non-Broncos related?
Non-Broncos related, but ex-Bronco related. Does that count?
Okay. Sure, we'll go for it, man.
So we used to have a 6'7" quarterback, and he's breaking records everywhere. He's been benched in the NFL, the CFL, the XFL, and USFL. Guess who it is?
I know exactly who it is. Do you want me to still say it?
Yep.
Mr. Paxton Lynch.
Yay! Ding, 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 ding.
Get the bell, huh? Oh, not that one. There we go. Um, yeah, it's amazing. I did catch a little bit of his performance, I guess you could say. He actually didn't start off looking too bad, but yeah, by the end of the game I was watching, he started throwing up picks, and you know, just kind of that typical Paxton Lynch, you're throwing picks and taking some sacks. So that's kind of what I saw. So been tuning into the XFL just a little bit when I can. I don't know if the wife's necessarily happy that football is now a year-round thing for me, but it's all good. I like it. I guess my thoughts on free agency. There's one big name that's I guess we could talk about that's still hanging out there, and it was certainly a big national media story for the last couple of days. But at one point this gentleman was tied to us as well, and I'm just happy that we're not in the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes at this point, and that we're not still trying to figure out draft compensation and not having a quarterback. And the Jets are in such a bad position. And maybe the Packers too. There's a big discussions on who has leverage, who doesn't. It's such an ugly mess. And for a guy that came out of a hut in his darkness and decided that his 90% idea of retiring is now flipped, and he's going to come and he's going to be a New York Jet. I'm just glad he didn't come out of that hut and decide he wanted to be a Denver Bronco this year, and we weren't in that position. I advocated for at one point that we jumped into the Russell Wilson sweepstakes, as a quick option B that we just jumped at that point, and that we should have waited, and maybe we would have had a chance to get Aaron Rodgers this year, because I kind of saw this coming as well. Well, thank goodness I'm wrong, man. I'd much rather be in this position where we're at right now, and good luck to the New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Kenny saying Rodgers, and curious to see where Lamar Jackson goes. Yeah, that's another good point, Kenny. Here's a 26-year-old quarterback, MVP of the league, dealt with a little bit of injuries, got the franchise tag, and seems like nobody in the league has a spot for Lamar Jackson on their roster. At least not at the dollars that I guess he's asking or reportedly asking. But certainly doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of talk out there, or talks being happening between him and any other teams, which is really what he expected. So interesting situation, I don't know how that's going to play out. I don't know how happy he is with the Baltimore Ravens right now. Jody, do you have any thoughts on Lamar Jackson while we?
I think the Deshaun Watson deal really messed things up for him. I mean, and not having an agent.
Yeah.
I mean, Deshaun got all that guaranteed money, and let's be honest, probably Lamar Jackson, excuse me, has probably been a better player.
Mm-hmm.
Up to this point. I mean, he's already won an MVP, and I think, and I mean, he reports he's turned, what they offer, like 150 or something guaranteed, and he turned it down. So
yep.
Fully guaranteed. So, I mean, I agree. I think him not having an agent is what is really messing things up right now.
I was watching just before we got on, or this afternoon, I was watching a little bit of This Just In. Max Kleberman was on there, and he said his take on it was that Deshaun Watson's deal messed him up so much because NFL executives were able to look at Deshaun Watson and say, oh, he has off the field issues, but he can play football. Okay, well, we can go ahead and we can give him this large guaranteed contract. But the Baltimore Ravens aren't willing to give Lamar Jackson this large guaranteed contract, and he doesn't have any off the field issues. So what's the issue? It must be on the field issues at that point. It must be those injuries and the like. And does that have more teams wary of going in on the sweepstakes for Lamar Jackson, even in comparison to a Deshaun Watson? I thought that was a really interesting take by him. So
it's got to be the injuries, because I mean, when he's healthy and playing well, he is one of the best quarterbacks. I mean, running but he just almost doesn't know how to when to slide and when not to take the big hits.
Yeah, he's taken. I think it was a freak injury. I think he's gotten a lot better at that. He's a great quarterback. Everyone talked about him not being a quarterback when he came out. Well, he is absolutely developed into a quarterback. He's one of the most accurate in the leagues at this point when he's on the playing field. It's amazing the talent level that he's at, and yet again the lack of interest that we're seeing across the NFL. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I don't know how that does he sit out a year? That's always an option.
That's
it's
that's
always an
so
option.
much money. I don't know what, but if someone offered you 139 million fully guaranteed and you turn that down right away, I mean, I don't know. That's just
it's probably tough.
It's mind blowing to me that
it's mind blowing to us.
That.
But you got to remember where he's at in comparison to his counterparts, and when you do see a Deshaun Watson getting that large guaranteed contract, it'd be no different than I don't know what wage you get paid, but let's say we're all getting paid about $50,000 a year, and all of a sudden Albert comes on to our group, and they're like, hey man, we're going to guarantee you $35,000 a year, man. You're like, well, wait a second. Those guys are all getting 50. How come I can't be up near the top where these guys are at? I understand, and this is right back to what you and Kenny was also saying as well. He needs an agent because you can't separate that in your mind. Every time that they say that, every time that they say, well, this is the reason we don't think that we can. That's taken personally, and
he doesn't
you have to absorb
to...
that firsthand.
I think Lamar Jackson.
Oh, go ahead.
I think Lamar Jackson shot himself in the foot by not taking the contract, and they don't want to give him a bigger contract because he is so injury prone, because he is taking many risks. So I think it's a double-edged sword.
It is a double-edged sword. I'd also say he's an MVP, and he's put those guys in the playoffs regardless of having any real talent around him, especially at the wide receiver position. So it's not a good scenario. Kenny's asking, there is one team, if I was a GM, that would take a shot in the draft. The Texans could contend for the AFC South with that signing. Yeah, Texans could certainly go that direction instead of drafting Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud. Everyone talks about how much you're willing to give up and how high of a pick you have. You don't want to give up. Obviously, if you're the Carolina Panthers at this point, you're not giving up the number one pick. In order to go after Lamar Jackson. They've even stated as such. So, well, gentlemen, we kind of went down a non-Broncos, rabbit hole, man. I think we talked more about that than I was ever expecting. I'll end with this since we can get it back all the way back around. I just want you to, we'll start off with Albert. Give me one name you'd like to see us sign.
Ben Jones.
Ben Jones, center. Solidify that position. Yeah, I can understand that. I know that I'm probably the biggest Lloyd Cushenberry fan on this panel, so I get that. I know you're the least Lloyd. You're not pushing that fan club like you are Henningsen. Jody, is there a name out there that you would like to see added to this roster?
That's who I was gonna say, but I'll go another name. I'd like to see Calais Campbell. He's a Colorado guy, finished his career here, knowing that he's not gonna probably be a starter, but can give you good depth and good play when he comes in.
Yeah. I would have no problem with that either. Name that I mentioned earlier, and I'll bring my name to the table. I like Ngakoue. It was a name that I loved that coming out, and I really thought that we had a chance at him, and maybe he would be a great fit here in Denver. I know why Albert's laughing, because Kenny is on the Alexander Madison train. Come on, Albert, say it.
I will take a look at Alexander Madison.
Take a look. He actually is a pretty dang good running back, for the Vikings. Backed up Cook, and you know what? He does have a lot of traits that I would like to see bring in. But he says,
and he was a Boise Bronco, so he is already used to the name of Bronco.
there you go. You can feel at home with the name. Kenny's saying, all joking aside, Jarvis Landry. Kenny, I didn't want to steal your thunder. I'll be honest. Once you brought it up, I thought that was a great fit. I went with Ngakoue instead, but I will absolutely give you props for Jarvis Landry. I'd love to see him added to this roster. I think that makes a tremendous amount of sense for the type of wide receiver the Broncos are looking to add to this roster to be competitive in 2023, 2024. So, well, gentlemen, Broncos country, I told you. This offseason was not going to be like a stampede of information. So, with so much going on, again, you want to stay up to speed, get all the breaking news, and that's why you should be checking out the Rocky Mountain Sports Network on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Check them out. All the great articles. They got a brand new website that's all up and running. Check out some of the articles that are happening over there. Got some new podcasts that'll be coming. So it won't just be the Denver Bronco Roundup or the 5280 guys or anything like that. Adding even more in there. Looking to get some Avalanche and some baseball going as well. So remember, like, share, subscribe to the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. All your breaking news, podcasts, in-depth analysis from fantastic experts and knowledgeable enthusiasts across all your sports. So before we get out of here, gentlemen, I just want to get a peek of what you'll be keeping an eye on the next week. Joe, do you have anything that you're going to keep an eye on? Or anything to look forward to as we head to next Tuesday?
Just the next round in March Madness. We're in the Sweet 16. That's really about it. I'm not super excited about baseball, but my Astros lost Altuve with a broken thumb, so he's out. Got to have surgery out in 8 to 10 weeks. So that's a massive blow to start the season.
Yeah, that's opening for my Angels. I appreciate that, man.
And I hope that this is going off topic a little bit, but that they find a different time of the year to play this, the World Baseball Classic. Right before the start of a season. I mean, we watched two major guys go down. Altuve, the closer for the Mets, I mean, he blew his leg out. He's out for the season. So
wonderful. Yeah, you're right. Maybe they could just have better conditioning. They have Lauren Landau over there? What's going on? Anyway. Albert, I'll let you pull yourself together, and then I'll let you tell me what you're looking at, working on. What's going on in your next week, I guess, is the big thing. So
I'm still looking forward that right now it's going towards the draft and this stuff, and hopefully we will have some excitement still in the Broncos news that we might sign a player or two that we don't know of yet.
Very good, man. Very good. Well, for me, I'll be obviously tuned into all the Broncos news. I'll be honest, I kind of got a busy week ahead of me, so I'll be trying to take in some of that pro day. Hopefully we get a little bit of footage of what's going on out there. Really interested in seeing, especially some of those guys that weren't able to compete in the combine or didn't compete in the combine. You also, don't get me wrong, these are selected plays and drills that these guys are going through to show them off the best, but at the same time, you will get the best show on a lot of these players. So I'm excited to see that as well. And maybe just a little bit more, fun stuff that we can build around, the Denver Broncos, so that we can have fun here on the show.
And that's what. And that's why he said, "Yup," with the combine and the pro day. They already know what they're looking for, what player they're looking for, and if the players are playing on those days, it might just seal the deal for them. I think that's what it is.
Yep. And these combine and pro days, the nice thing about this is a chance that you can actually get a little bit more dialogue with these players too. Obviously when we were talking about Senior Bowl and Shrine Bowl, that's a little bit more difficult for coaching and GMs to get time to talk to these players, but certainly during the combine and the draft, NFL combine, I'm sorry, and these pro days, you get that opportunity. So, well, before we get out of here, I just want to give some shout outs, some thanks. Boy, we got Kenny coming in here and saying best trio in Broncos country right here. Great show. Thank you so much, Kenny.
Thanks, Kenny.
Michael Ronquillo jumping in and saying great show, guys. It's always fun talking Broncos football. Yes, it is, and it's even more exciting when we have positive things to look forward we've seen in free agency and the plans ahead for 23-24 for the Denver Broncos, Michael. So I appreciate you jumping in here as well.
Yes, thank you.
To Kurt, to all our Facebook users that jumped in, to Muhammad that was in here earlier, Anthony Rivera that was in here earlier as well. Thanks to everybody who tuned in every single Tuesday, 6:30. We try to be here on time every single week for you. So just to remember, please like, follow, share, subscribe to the Denver Bronco Roundup. Share it with all your friends and family. We're on almost all the social media platforms, including obviously Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Again, thank you so much for all your questions, all your comments tonight. Until next why did I say that? I almost said Wednesday. Until next Tuesday. Looking forward to tomorrow already, guys. Until next Tuesday, when we round up all your Broncos news, notes, rumors, and the like, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Appreciate you guys so much. And, hey, we'll see you soon. Thanks again.